All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to those in the room who joined since I last turned around. So great to see everyone. And thanks to those of you joining us on Zoom or watching us on Facebook Live or watching the recording later on Facebook. We really appreciate you being here today. And thanks to the consciousness behind the growth of our music team. And Victoria, thanks for joining. Yeah. Wonderful new expanded voices in our team. So much appreciated. So our theme today, well, the room is, but for those of you watching online, the room is really this side heavy right now. Like I feel like I should walk over here. You don't need to move, you're fine. But, wow. The theme again this month is holy boldness. It's about like knowing that we are grounded in the truth, that we're grounded in the essence of spirit. And from that place, we can step into life boldly in different ways. And this week's title is called Higher Heights. So we have been exploring the spectrum, the range of spirit in us, as us, and through us. This month has been about serving life with gusto. Love that word. And verve. Powerful words. Life is inviting us. Spirit is inviting us to do just that. The only thing that holds us back is ourselves and the perceptions that we hold of ourselves. There is a sacred deep knowing within us that is always supporting us and guiding us. Always has that. And as we work in partnership with spirit, then we truly know that all things are possible. So today we're going to talk about ascending to higher heights. Higher heights take us beyond where we are right now. We can't lift our vision and expectations with a downward gaze. We want to lift our expectations and our vision. We can begin to do that by lifting our eyes upward and outward to see a greater expansion of life. As we elevate our vision upwards beyond the clouds, beyond the stars, beyond the rainbows, the infinite spectrum of spirit begins to apply directly to us. We have unlimited potential and abundant resources at our immediate disposal. In the Science of Mind textbook, Ernest Holmes said, "It is right that we should be successful. It is right that we should be successful. For otherwise, spirit is not expressed. The divine cannot lack for anything, and we should not lack for anything that makes life worthwhile here on earth." Right there, Ernest Holmes is telling us the theme for this month, that as we know that spirit has within it all the resources, so too do we have within our dreams, our visions, our intentions, all of the resources to bring those into fruition, right? Because if we're not fully expressing as we are, then spirit itself is not living and fully expressing. However, we get to remove some of those hidden beliefs and those things that tell us we don't, or we can't, or we aren't. We live in a bountiful universe of greatness that continually exposes us to the higher heights. Now, in the Science of Mind, we believe that the universal presence is limitless. How many times do you hear that every week when we get together, right? Spirit itself is limitless. And I nod my head and say, yeah, you betcha. And then, maybe about Tuesday afternoon, I'm not feeling so limitless. But those reminders are so important to get over and over again. And eventually we begin to nudge up our belief in that new belief system. We have a part to play in order to experience that essence of abundance in our heart's desires. Even if our circumstances may not be prosperous or opulent, our attitude can still reflect an attitude of abundance. Again, Holmes talks about this when he says, we are surrounded by, immersed in an infinite good. How much of this infinite good is ours? Not a rhetorical question. How much of the infinite good is ours? You got it. You read it right off the page. All of it. That's what Ernest Holmes said. All of the infinite good is ours. Not all people who are rich in resources are happy and have prosperity consciousness, right? In order to continue excelling in life and ascending in consciousness, we have to be able to move to a higher vision. We're all here in this lifetime living our lives the best that we can. We know that to be true. And as we apply spiritual principles and spiritual learning practices, we do better. We expand our awareness and collectively create a better world for ourselves and for everyone. This helps us move to those higher heights by living more boldly. We can step it up and move on to the next level, though, only when we're ready, right? Only when we nudge out in that direction. So one of the first points I want to make is talking about the concept of being beyond the beyond. The song Somewhere Over the Rainbow from The Wizard of Oz mentions a land far away where dreams come true. That place is beyond the beyond as we climb to higher heights. But that concept of somewhere over the rainbow engages our ability to use creativity and to envision and to dream. As we continue to grow in consciousness, as we move beyond where we were before to another step, another rung, another movement on the ladder, we can begin to evolve into that higher level of belief for ourselves. We begin to notice our own growth, that we're beyond where we used to be in how we react to things. We grow and mature, we gain wisdom, breadth, and depth. We begin to see things more clearly. We hear our intuitive voice more audibly. We hear it. And some things are just not as difficult as they used to be before. It's almost as if we're scaling mountain after mountain after mountain in life. Sometimes on the climb, though, we hit a plateau where we can stop and rest and reflect, or we can make it to the top and then pause to take in the view before we scale on to the next plateau ahead of us. How many of you hikes out there in the world or in Tulsa? How many times have I hiked and think like, it's trudging, and I just have to make it to there and then I'm done. And I'm like, whoa, there's another whole plateau after that. And after resting and recovering and reflecting and breathing, that excitement builds because I've made it to this spot. I've gained the insights and the wisdom and the stamina and the strength to know that I can make it onto that next peak in evolution. Whenever we're taking on a change in our life, whenever we're doing something new, we're tapping into the divine. That tapping into the divine helps us move from one stage of evolution up to the next and have the power of reflection to know that we can continue to move on, knowing that the magic is happening as we move. The climb eventually levels out and we climb again. It levels out and we climb again. And I think for a moment of the story of Oprah Winfrey and her life. She was born into poverty and faced numerous hardships, but she continually moved beyond her circumstances, envisioning a life of greatness. With each step, becoming a news anchor in Baltimore, starting her own talk show, and eventually owning an entire media empire, grounded in teaching these new thought spiritual principles to the world in a way outside of church, she exemplified moving beyond the beyond, scaling new heights, and constantly expanding her range of influence and impact. Again, in the science of mind now, we believe that heaven is a state of consciousness within us, right here and right now. As we move to higher heights in our own spiritual experience through our sacred relationship with spirit, it can be a form of ascending to heaven or a heavenly state. Ernest says, communion with the spirit is one of the greatest privileges of life. Love that. Communion with the spirit is one of the greatest privileges of life, and it's something we can do at any moment, at any time, in the midst of anything else that we're doing. To take that quick moment to reflect, to commune with the spirit. And while by communion, he says, we mean silently entering into divine harmony and beauty until we feel harmony and beauty in our own souls, in our own minds. And he said that in the book, Richer Living. So how do we get there? And what are the steps that we take for heavenly ascension into consciousness? There's a lot of different ways and a lot of different books about that. But everyone's experience is unique. I can't answer that for you. It depends on how it's approached and how it's embraced. Some may meditate often, allowing them to go deeper and deeper in contemplation and find that blissful state. Others may get there through prayer, through chanting, through drumming, or movement that takes them into a state of deep awe. Others may study sacred texts that bring them greater understanding of the meaning of life. Some people like to take classes and dive deep. Others may sing sacred and spiritual music by themselves, or rock music in the car, blasting how loud it can be. Whatever it is that moves you to the state of awe, the beauty and magnificence of life will work. The many paths and ways lead to a higher connection with the infinite, which also leads to more opportunities to operate from that place of boldness. We also do this in a state of beloved community. As we ascend to higher heights in our own personal spiritual experience, it's common to extend ourselves out into the connection of community. CSL continues to embrace a global vision of a world that works for all. And one way to build this is through the strength of community. We transcend where we are and where we want to be through our caring and sharing for others. I think for a moment of the conversations we have here at our center, before church as we're setting up, after church as we're gathering, it's inevitable that someone will bring up a something and the community rushes in to say, oh, I had that experience, or I know a resource that can help support change in that area of life, or I'm going to sit here and listen, or I'm going to sit here and pray with you to know that there is that opportunity. So that's where the power of community comes in. That's why we gather either online or in person. Being in selfless sacred service not only helps others, it also supports our own spiritual practice and an abundance consciousness through giving, ship, and receivership. I think for a moment of Myrna, who at a moment's notice downloads an idea and is then off helping support the buying of a home in another country to help people start to commune and gather and improve their lives. Like, this comes from a place of spiritual practice. It comes from a place of belief that what I do in support of the world comes from the uplift and the vibration of my energy, matching the energy of a need, filling a need, and letting something new be birthed out of it. I think it's beautiful. As we focus on building mechanisms that help support others, that boomerang comes back to bless us and shower us as well. It's not why we do it, but it's a side impact of moving into that place of giving energy in the world and making a positive change in the world. It's a boomerang effect. By extending our reach in new ways with holy boldness, we challenge ourselves to grow and deepen in consciousness in the process, while also climbing to new heights. I have another great example here, and it's the life of Malala Yousafzai. Should know how to say her name better than that, but Malala, I apologize. Her journey of advocating for girls' education in Pakistan, surviving a Taliban assassination attempt, and continuing to advocate on a global scale demonstrates a spiritual ascension in her life. Through her education and her activism, she's reached a higher state of consciousness and then inspires others to making impacts like that in a worldwide basis. And thank goodness that the world recognizes this. It recognizes people, a young woman who suffered horrible experience, and out of that becomes an advocate for the very change to support those folks living in the environment that impacted her and her life and the life of so many others. When I think of the beloved commitments that support this 61-year-old spiritual community, 61's not that old, right?
Not anymore.
Not anymore. But it really makes a difference when we think about the growth of this community. We think about the commitment of all of the individuals who allow this place to happen. And I know everyone who participates in that way does it from a grounding in spirit, does it out of a sense of love and out of a sense of filling up, about being, lifted up by the experience of what it's like to be here in community. So we're at a little place of transition here. This will be my last talk as senior minister here at the Tulsa Center, and I'm so grateful for the time that I've had and feel so incredibly supported by the people who we've never seen. They've watched us online. They may have sent a check in to support the community, or they somehow had a shift. And to know that there's no one individual who does that. It's the beauty of community. It's the beauty of Chris sitting at home and thinking, like, what song would really match the talk that Jeff's giving today? And Melita does that every month when she comes up with the songs that, not only songs that Dale can sing, which he sings really well.
Thank you, but yeah.
But that then match and resonate. I don't know if you never notice, when you hear a song before the talk and you hear the song after the talk, they support that energy. And again, that doesn't just happen. And then our music team practicing and all of the setup and the takedown and the behind the scenes energy and paying the bills. All of those are aspects of helping an organization grow and thrive and continue to move. And for that, I'm super grateful. And I'll still be around. So just imagine this for a moment, if you will. Breathe in. You don't have to close your eyes unless you feel like it. Imagine you're in a mystical realm known as radiance. I'd like to be a mystical realm known as radiance. Every being glowed with the colors of the rainbow, each representing a different aspect of their spirit. And in the heart of this land lived a young seeker named Celeste, who dreamed of reaching the pinnacle of light, a place where one could fully realize their potential and shine their brightest. One day, Celeste discovered a hidden path leading towards the pinnacle. Excited and determined, she embarked on this journey, facing various trials along the way. Her first challenge was to cross the river of reflection, where she had to confront her deepest fears and desires. As she bravely waded through, she remembered the words of an ancient sage. We are surrounded by and immersed in an infinite good. How much of this infinite good is ours? Further along, Celeste entered the forest of whisperers, where the trees echoed her self-doubts. And to overcome this, she repeated to herself, we are surrounded by an infinite force and substance from which all things come. It is around us in its original state, ready and willing to take form through the impulse of our creative belief. And at one point along the journey seemed almost impossible. Celeste met a wise, luminous phoenix named Leora. And Leora shared, the eye in which I see the pinnacle is the same eye in which the pinnacle sees you. Trust in your journey, for it is both unique and divinely guided. Encouraged, Celeste continued discovering new strengths and colors within herself with each step. Finally, Celeste reached the pinnacle of light, and as she stood at the summit, she realized that her journey had been about more than reaching the destination. It had been about uncovering the infinite spectrum within her, recognizing that every challenge is an opportunity to shine brighter and ascend higher. And so we stretch, we extend our reach, we grow in spiritual awareness to higher heights. And by casting our vision further out, our reach extends. If we look past the horizon, we allow our minds and hearts to be more fully open to embrace the spectrum of God's greatness, of who we are. When we are intentionally seeking to expand, we must attain those higher heights. The universe meets us where we are, and it matches our effort with more growth and more expansion. We are forever being born anew and rising into our own greatness. Whether we are in outreach to help create and nurture a beloved community or a new community, we continue to climb that stairway to heaven within our own inner consciousness and expand to the beyond. As we participate in our own expansion, Spirit guides us and lifts us up to higher heights. The eye in which I see God is the same eye in which God sees me, said Meister Eckhart. That's the vision. That's the vision that Celeste was told. The eye that I'm seeing God with is the eye in which God sees me. We are a vision of the world that works for everyone. Let's execute it with each other and the broader community by taking sacred, bold steps with faith and trust, and remembering to always do our spiritual work. We can all move to higher heights through this time of evolution and the great turning and transitions that are happening in the world today. So thank you. Let's continue to rise to higher heights together, not only here, but in the greater community of Tulsa, by committing to and supporting each other in our growth together. As each of us lift and expand, we support this greater community with a sense of love and power and beauty. And for that, I am grateful. Namaste. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, you want to turn off the recorder? Or I don't know. Just a pause the next one.